Welcome to The Marketing Behind Rapid Growth, the podcast where we explore the strategies, decisions, and growth engines behind some of the world's most successful technology companies. Today, we're talking about Synthesia. Picture this. It's 2019. David Beckham is on screen speaking directly to camera, delivering a message about ending malaria. Then he says the same sentence again, in Mandarin, then in Hindi, then in Swahili. Beckham doesn't speak any of these languages, but he appears to. Perfectly. Lips moving in sync, expression unchanged, voice eerily his own. The film, produced with Malaria No More UK and the agency R/GA, traveled around the world. It was proof that a tiny London startup called Synthesia had built something that looked like science fiction. And here's the twist in the story. That viral moment, the one that put synthetic video on the map, was also the moment Synthesia's founders quietly realized their business was broken. Not the technology. The technology worked. It was the business model wrapped around it that was leading nowhere. This is the story of how a company walked away from its most dazzling use case to chase something far less glamorous: corporate training decks. And in doing so, built one of the most important AI companies in the world. Let's start with what nobody was talking about behind the Beckham campaign. Making that film required legal approvals, bespoke creative direction, long production cycles. The AI itself was just a sliver of the actual work. Everything else was the same friction-heavy project management that has always defined media production. For an advertising client, AI dubbing was a nice-to-have, a vitamin. Impressive at a dinner party, but not something they needed every week. And a company can't build recurring revenue on top of something people only want occasionally. So Synthesia's founders faced a hard question. If their flashiest use case was actually their weakest business, where was the real opportunity hiding? To understand where they landed, we need to rewind a little further. The story starts with Victor Ripperbelli, who spent time at Stanford and around London's startup scene. He came across a research paper called Face to Face, co-authored by computer vision professor Matthias Niesner, who would later become a Synthesia co-founder. The paper showed a neural network generating photorealistic video of a person speaking words they never actually said. To Ripperbelli, this wasn't a curiosity. It was a preview of where media production was headed, away from cameras and microphones and toward code. But seeing the future is one thing. Financing it is another. In 2017, synthetic humans sounded fringe, even alarming to most investors. Ripperbelli's team got turned down roughly 100 times. Running low on options, they sent a cold email to Mark Cuban. As it turned out, Cuban had already experimented with the same underlying research himself. He didn't need convincing. After a marathon email exchange, and notably not a single phone call, he put in $1 million. Synthesia had its runway. Now fast forward to that post-Beckham moment of reckoning. The company made a bet-the-company decision. It walked away from entertainment and media services entirely. No more chasing advertising agencies or celebrity campaigns. The new target user wasn't a director. It was an HR manager, an instructional designer, a corporate trainer. And the guiding principle behind that pivot can be summed up in 3 words: utility over novelty. Here's why that mattered. Think about everything inside a company that should be a video but isn't. Onboarding material, compliance training, sales enablement content, IT updates. This is exactly the material employees most need to absorb. And it was stuck in static PDFs and forgettable slide decks because producing real video was slow and expensive. A single polished corporate video minute could cost tens of thousands of dollars. That backlog was the opportunity. Millions of professionals wanted to communicate through video. They simply lacked the budget, the time, or the skill to make it happen. So instead of chasing an open-ended, cinematic, imagine-anything video model, the path that many text-to-video competitors would later pursue, Synthesia leaned hard into constraint and reliability. It built a browser-based editor that behaves almost like a slide deck. You pick an avatar. You type a script. You set a branded background. The system generates a lip-synced video in more than 140 languages. The avatars wouldn't fool a Hollywood film crew, and Synthesia was fine with that trade-off because, for its actual customers, the alternative to an AI video was never a big-budget production. The alternative was no video at all. There's a second strategic decision worth pausing on here because it's easy to miss. Trust. While competitors raced to build wide-open deepfake tools, Synthesia went the other direction. It screened scripts at the point of creation. It partnered with a trust and safety firm called Cinder. It refused to generate non-consensual avatars. It became the first AI video company to earn ISO 42001 certification, and it holds SOC 2 Type 2 compliance. That might sound like a defensive, even bureaucratic move. It wasn't. It was a growth strategy. Those credentials opened doors that looser, more permissive competitors simply couldn't walk through: banks, healthcare providers, government agencies. In a category defined by deepfake anxiety, being the trustworthy option became a genuine competitive moat. Now here's where the marketing story really begins. Because building the right product was only half the battle. In its early days, Synthesia experienced a kind of viral rush. People would type a sentence, watch a lifelike avatar say it back, and immediately show their friends. Sign-ups poured in, but Ripperbelly's team noticed a troubling pattern underneath the excitement. Many of those new users were what the team came to call AI tourists. People who paid to play with the magic trick once, marveled at it, told their network, and then churned because they had no recurring reason to come back. That's a familiar trap for any company built on a novel technology. Novelty draws a crowd. It doesn't build a business. So the team reframed the entire marketing problem. Instead of selling people on the underlying AI, look what this technology can do, they started selling the applied use case. What can you do with it, specifically for your job today? They built a library of templates mapped to high-intent corporate tasks: onboarding videos, compliance updates, IT communications, sales decks. And critically, they didn't lock these behind a sign-up wall. They published them openly as search-optimized landing pages and instructional how-to videos. Think about what that meant in practice. A learning and development manager sitting at her desk searches for how to make an onboarding video. She lands on a Synthesia page that doesn't just talk about AI video. It shows her step by step exactly how to do the thing she searched for, demonstrated by an avatar doing the explaining. That content did three things at once. It ranked for long-tail search queries other companies weren't even targeting. It educated the market on how to actually use a genuinely new technology. And it collapsed the time between a stranger's curiosity and a paying customer's first real result. This is the heart of the lesson. Marketing wasn't just filling a funnel with traffic. It was teaching an entire category of professionals how to fold an unfamiliar technology into work they already did every day. And that content engine kept enterprise buyers flowing in long after the initial viral hype around talking AI avatars had cooled down. So where did all of this lead? Today, Synthesia is valued at roughly $4 billion. It has passed $100 million in annual recurring revenue. A large majority of the Fortune 100 are customers. And reportedly, the company turned down a multi-billion-dollar acquisition approach from Adobe, choosing instead a strategic investment from Adobe's venture arm, a sign of just how much conviction its founders had in building this independently. So what can operators actually take from this story? First, the most glamorous use case is rarely the most profitable one. Synthesia left celebrity campaigns behind to serve corporate trainers, because trainers had an acute, recurring, software-solvable problem. An audience whose house is on fire will always outspend an audience that simply admires the flames. Second, when your technology is intimidating or unfamiliar, marketing's job isn't just to announce it, it's to teach people how to use it. Synthesia hid sophisticated AI behind familiar formats. Slide deck-style editors, how-to videos, templates built around jobs people already had. Distribution wasn't just about awareness. It was about demonstrating immediate, tangible payoff. Third, in a world full of deep fake anxiety, compliance isn't a cost center. It can be a competitive weapon. By leaning into consent, moderation, and formal certification, Synthesia unlocked regulated, high-value budgets that looser rivals simply couldn't reach. Synthesia's climb from a celebrity-driven novelty to an enterprise mainstay wasn't built on spectacle. It was built on discipline. The company found a real point of friction, built a product that felt familiar rather than futuristic, and used marketing to walk users from a moment of curiosity all the way to a habit they returned to every week. And that's really the lesson underneath all of it. Even the most radical technologies only win when they're packaged, marketed, and sold as practical, everyday tools. This was the marketing behind rapid growth. See you in the next episode.